Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty and today is the Mixed Media Frenzy Hop Friday. So the Mixed Media Frenzy group is a free group over on YouTube, and every Friday they open it up to hop along with any members in the group. So I like to play along, and this time our inspiration comes from Olga Bielska. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, that is my best guess. And this is a very vintage grunge vibe, so I'm going to take it in a different direction. Let's get started. I chose this photo of myself sitting on the dock at a lake that we took on vacation over the summer, and so I'm going to turn this into a more bright and colorful layout that still has a bit of a grungy vibe. And instead of using the gears, I'm going to use some floral bits, and then I have a bunch of stamps that I'm going to use as the mixed media background. I'm going to add some foiling, and then I'm going to do some sprays. So I've got a bunch of mixed media techniques going on here, and I am sure to protect everything as I start to work because this one is going to be messy. I do get my photo out, and I'm going to go ahead and mark where that photo will sit on the page so that when I'm doing my mixed media, I'm not wasting time covering up something I don't really need to worry about. And then I'm going to go ahead and start with this background handwritten script font, and I'm going to use my Memento ink. The Memento ink is waterproof once it's completely dry, and I will heat set that with my heat tool so that I can make sure it's completely dry before I move on. And as you see me here, I'm not using a stamp block because that gives me a more splotchy look to the stamp. So I am doing it just with my hands, and I'm also doing second generation and third generation stamping. Now I pulled out a flower from that same set, and at first I had accidentally stamped the back of the stamp and not the front of the stamp. That's okay. I'm going to cover it up with other mixed media bits later. So I'm just continuing to add little bits and pieces to the background for this layout. Now here's where I had went ahead and heat set it, and this is how I test my Memento ink to see if it's ready. I just swipe it with a wet paintbrush, and if it smears, it's not ready, and mine was not ready, so I had to go back and heat set it some more. So once it passed my smear test, I am ready to move on to the next step. Although I did forget that I wanted a little bit more stamping here, and I've added these little waves to the background also because I was at the lake. I wanted to catch some of that watery feel too. Now you will see me stamping and doing mixed media right in the center where that photo is going to cover. I'm just using that as a scratch piece of paper basically. While I work on my layout. So I start my spray mists in the middle. These are from Shimmers Paints Company, and these are new to me. I've never used these bottles before, which is why I'm spraying in the middle to get them primed and started and ready to go. And as you can see, I am holding them at a sharp angle so that they kind of burst across my page. And I do have a scratch piece of paper to kind of catch that overspray so it doesn't go spraying everywhere. And I did an okay job for the most part. I will have a little bit of cleanup later. And the overspray that's on my mat, I'm going to go ahead and dip some of my embellishments in just to give them a little bit more grunge to them. I'm not going to do all of them this way, but I will do a few here and there. Now while I was waiting for that mixed media to dry, I went ahead and wrote my title out on vellum with this pen. And this is my current favorite pen for doing like brush lettering. As you can see here, you can get super thin lines and also nice thick lines with this. Now I'm trying to do a sample here to show you, but this scale of letter, it doesn't show up as well. But if I go over it a second time with my brush pen, you can see the variation I can get. I don't know what the nib is on this pen, but it has the perfect properties for being thin, and if you press down on it, it can get thick. And I will leave links for products in the show notes for you. So let's go ahead and move on to the foiling. Now in that picture, you saw streaks of kind of rusty color, and I'm going to do my streaks with some foiling. I wanted to get a little bit of shine on this page because the lake water is shimmery, so I wanted to add that. And I am using this glue from scrapbook.com that's called their smart glue, and what this glue is it's kind of a two-way glue, so you can just use it as a regular wet glue, but if you let it dry, it stays tacky. Now that is not my favorite property of glue except for foiling techniques. So I only use this glue for foiling. And here you're going to see me, I'm actually going to use the glue for stamping. Now if you're going to do this with your stamps, have a baby wipe right by your side so that you can set the stamp in there so the glue does not dry on there. And then I will take my stamps to the sink and scrub them with soap, water, and a toothbrush to get all that glue out of the grooves, because if you let it dry in there, you're going to be in trouble. So fair warning that if you want to try this, make sure you clean up right away. And while that glue is drying to get ready for the foiling process, you do need to let it completely dry for this technique. I'm going to go ahead and work on starting my photo groupings, and I'm just going to surround it with a bunch of these bits and pieces. These are digital products from Tracy Reed, and they're print and cut files, and that's exactly what I did with them. I printed them on my printer, cut them out on my Cricut, and I've got myself a pile of embellishments to use for this. So here's the foiling. I lay this sheet of foil pretty side up on top of my glue, and I rub it. Wherever that glue is, you can see the texture starting to show through on that foiling. And that's where I rub and put the most pressure so that I can get that foil to transfer onto that glue. Now, this sheet isn't big enough to do the whole page, but the thing is, you just keep moving the sheet around to cover up any wet glue or sticky glue, excuse me, with fresh foil, and you can keep foiling. Now, wherever that sheet kind of is sticking to the page and not releasing smoothly, that's where you need to add more foil, because that's where the glue is that you can't quite see and it's still tacky. So that is my biggest tip for this technique. Another tip is I do pat my hands down on the whole layout to see if I've left behind any tacky spots, refoil any of those tacky spots, and then in the end I might even use a powder tool for heat embossing and just kind of rub the whole entire layout, and that will detack any glue that I've missed anywhere. And as you can see here, I am just layering up all of these embellishments just like in the inspiration piece, just all around my photo. Some I'm popping up on foam dots. Some of it I did foil with a little bit of glue and the foil product. Some of it I'm tucking under or behind. I used some of them to adhere my title down, which was on vellum. And then my final foiling step is I'm using this tape runner from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L, which is shaped tape runner. So this is in the shape of hearts. So this is another way to add foiling, especially if you don't want to deal with the messy glue. If you've got even foam dots or any fun shapes of tapes that you can use, you can foil that way as well. So that is my layout for this Mixed Media Frenzy Hop. I hope you were inspired by something in this video. If you were, please do give me a like. I really appreciate it. That does help my channel. And remember, it is a hop, so we have lots of crafters on playing along. So in the show notes, you will find links to all of their videos. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you'll come back next time.